We're in the Botanic Gardens with Leah Warburton, Community Arborist with Albury City. Leah, the Hovell tree is what we're talking about today, but why isn't it the human Hovell tree?
I think it was specifically Hovell engraved his name in 1824, just alongside the Murray where they were crossing. It was the first time Europeans had seen the Murray, and that's why it was called specifically the Hovell, because it was carved by him.
And it's, even from its beginning, it's had a checkered career.
Well, I read some articles in the Sydney Morning Herald, John, in 1850s that said it was in dire straits. You know, branches were cut off. It was in really poor condition, and over the years, you know, they've filled it with concrete. They've done all sorts of horrible arboricultural things that have caused it great grief. And in fact, in the 2001, early and even earlier than that, we were seeing it completely decimated by about 7 or 8 possums that are actually living in all the hollows. So it was absolutely, the top of half of it was nearly dead, and we were really concerned.
And at one stage, is it correct, it was filled with concrete or something?
Yeah, they used concrete. In the old days, they thought that actually strengthened the core of the tree. In fact, it makes it worse and it causes all sorts of decay and issues. So yes, if you go over there now, you'll still see pieces of concrete.
The tree itself, what type of tree is it?
It's a river red gum. Yeah, it's sort of a good old solid river red gum, and as I said, lots of hollows and lots of limbs dropped off. It's a pretty typical one. It's had a really rough time, and it's, you know, full of insects and bugs, and it's, you know, the usual beautiful old river red that's a bit sort of, you know, broken in bits and pieces, and a great place for little animals and critters to live.
When they carved it, was it alive?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. He just carved his name into a relatively young river red gum. And yeah, so it was alive, and that doesn't kill it, it just sort of probably weakens the tree itself, and it did cause some decay and some issues.
Where it stands isn't an area that floods anymore, and Eucalyptus camaldulensis, if I've got it right, requires flooding fairly regularly, is that right?
That's right, yeah, well they can cope with it. They've got the capacity to be inundated. Their root systems can cope with being without, you know, oxygen for quite a long time, and they're used to that. In fact, to propagate them you need flooding as well. So it's a mature tree up on the high side, but its roots would be around, the soil's very alluvial there, so it'd get a fair bit of moisture there anyway. So, and also now it's irrigated, the whole area, because it's a sort of high amenity value area. There's a whole lot of things that happen around there, the wood-fired oven in Albury and a whole lot of things, so it's actually getting really well spoiled.
So the idea to clone the tree came from where? Well,
actually the Albury and District Historical Society started to worry about it because of the condition, and so did we. So in, I think 2006, we put up a management plan, and part of that was to graft or clone the tree so that we could save it for posterity, basically for future generations. So there was a real push in 2000 to get a management plan up so that we could get rid of the possums. We put in a polycarbon strip so they don't jump in. We do all the dead woodings, and we just now also, we've mulched around it, we've planted around it. So we're really trying to help the health of the tree, but also we've taken cuttings and grafted them on to river red gums, so that we got vegetation from the Hovell tree and put it onto river red gum rootstock, and that has created 100 clones of the tree now, and we've placed them in really important areas all up and down the track from Yass to Geelong.
That's fabulous. So were the clones of the trees offered to other councils?
Yeah, we decided it was really important that they were placed in areas that were relevant to the whole history of the human Hovell expedition. And so we rung every local government, which is there's 21, from, as I said, Yass to Geelong, and every one of them welcomed it with great arms. So Albury City did it on their own bat. There was no charge. It was something that we thought was really important, and we were supported by the Historical Society in Albury.
What connection do you make between human Hovell and local Australian Indigenous flora and fauna?
Well, I suppose what you're saying is the river red, they were the first Europeans to see the Murray River, which I think was called Gamawatha, I think it was also something like that, or it was called Millawa. I think there's had many different names. So, I mean, the connection is, I suppose, the importance to everyone of what water and the water carrying, fresh water carrying is. And, you know, it's a local native tree that's got so much history. And I think it probably makes us all aware as Europeans how important trees are and the significance of trees and vegetation around areas, because I know Aboriginals have marked trees for time immemorial and done the same sort of thing. So it just I suppose it gives you an understanding that we all do it. We all know there's significance, and vegetation sometimes reflects very important times in our history.